Welcome to Lost Nightmares, the ancient monsters that history buried. In today's journey, we'll uncover terrifying creatures that once roamed the earth, only to be forgotten by time. These ancient monsters were lost to history, their stories fading into myth, but their legacies still haunt the darkest corners of our imagination. From colossal beasts that once ruled the land to mythical horrors that linger in ancient texts, prepare to be captivated by the creatures that time itself tried to erase. Grab your lanterns and join us as we delve into the shadowy past of Lost Nightmares. Typhon and Enceladus, titans beneath the earth. Greek mythology is filled with monstrous beings that challenge the gods, symbolizing chaos and destruction. Among these terrifying figures, Typhon and Enceladus stand out as two of the most formidable adversaries of the Olympian deities. These titans, often associated with storms, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions, were believed to be buried beneath the earth, their restless movements manifesting as natural disasters. While Typhon is considered the greatest and deadliest enemy of Zeus, Enceladus is particularly linked to volcanic activity, especially that of Mount Etna. Their stories not only serve as thrilling myths but also offer insight into how the ancient Greeks understood and explained the powerful forces of nature. Typhon, the storm giant of chaos. Origins and description. Typhon, also known as Typhoeus or Typhaon, was a monstrous giant born from Gaia, Earth, and Tartarus. Some versions of the myth suggest that Gaia gave birth to him as an act of revenge against Zeus for imprisoning the Titans in Tartarus. Typhon was described as a colossal creature with a human upper body, dragon-like legs, and 100 snake heads sprouting from his shoulders, each one spewing fire and venom. His eyes glowed with fury, and his voice was a cacophony of bestial roars and human cries. This terrifying depiction positioned him as the ultimate representation of chaos and destruction. The battle with Zeus. Typhon waged war against Zeus in an attempt to overthrow the Olympian order. This battle, known as the Titanomachy, was one of the most intense confrontations in Greek mythology. Armed with his thunderbolts, Zeus fought Typhon across the cosmos, hurling lightning strikes that illuminated the heavens. However, Typhon managed to overpower Zeus temporarily, severing his sinews and imprisoning him. With the help of Hermes and Pan, Zeus regained his strength and resumed the fight. Ultimately, Zeus defeated Typhon by hurling Mount Etna upon him, trapping the monster beneath the earth. Typhon's legacy. The Greeks believed that Typhon's movements beneath Mount Etna caused earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. His association with storms and destruction also made him a figure of fear and reverence. Later myths and interpretations identified Typhon with storm gods from other cultures, such as the Egyptian Set and the Mesopotamian Tiamat. His story remains a powerful metaphor for the eternal struggle between order and chaos, as well as the human attempt to understand natural disasters. Enceladus, the buried titan. Origins and characteristics. Enceladus was one of the Gigantes, the race of giants born from Gaia to challenge the Olympian gods. Unlike the Titans, who were primordial deities, the Gigantes were monstrous beings born of the blood of Uranus, spilled when he was castrated by Cronus. Enceladus was one of the most fearsome of these giants, often depicted with a serpent's tail instead of legs, similar to Typhon. His name is synonymous with seismic activity and the trembling of the earth. The Battle of the Giants. The battle between the Olympian gods and the Gigantes, known as the Gigantomachy, was a cataclysmic conflict. Enceladus led the charge against the gods, his strength and rage shaking the heavens. According to myth, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, played a crucial role in his downfall. Some versions say she crushed him with the island of Sicily, while others claim Zeus struck him down with a thunderbolt, and his fiery breath continued to fuel Mount Etna's eruptions. Enceladus' enduring presence. Like Typhon, Enceladus was believed to be trapped beneath the earth, his struggles causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. His myth explains the frequent eruptions of Mount Etna, making him a symbol of the earth's raw and untamed power. His name was later given to one of Saturn's moons, reflecting the ongoing fascination with his legend. Comparing Typhon and Enceladus. Similarities. Both Typhon and Enceladus are associated with chaos and destruction, particularly through their connections to seismic and volcanic activity. They are both figures of resistance against the Olympian gods, embodying the defiance of primordial forces against the order established by Zeus. Their burial beneath the earth and the belief that their struggles manifest in natural disasters highlight the ancient Greek attempt to personify and explain geological phenomena. Differences. While Typhon is depicted as a singular, all-powerful enemy of Zeus, Enceladus is one of many gigantes who challenged the gods. Typhon's battle was a direct confrontation with Zeus, representing a cosmic struggle between the supreme god and chaos itself. Enceladus, on the other hand, was part of a larger conflict and was ultimately subdued by Athena, making him a somewhat lesser figure compared to Typhon. Additionally, Typhon is associated with both storms and earthquakes, whereas Enceladus is more specifically linked to volcanic activity. Cultural and scientific influence. Mythological legacy. The myths of Typhon and Enceladus influenced later literary and artistic works, reinforcing their status as symbols of nature's fury. Renaissance artists depicted their battles in grand paintings, and poets such as John Milton referenced them in epic literature. The enduring power of these myths demonstrates humanity's long-standing fascination with the chaotic forces of nature. Scientific connections. The connection between Enceladus and volcanic activity persisted into modern times, with one of Saturn's icy moons being named after him. This celestial Enceladus is known for its geysers and potential subsurface ocean, suggesting that even in modern astronomy, ancient myths continue to inspire scientific exploration. Typhon and Enceladus remain two of the most formidable figures in Greek mythology, embodying chaos, destruction, and the untamed power of the earth. Their legends provided the ancient Greeks with explanations for the natural disasters that shaped their world, from storms and earthquakes to volcanic eruptions. More than mere monsters, they symbolize the eternal battle between order and chaos, a theme that resonates across cultures and time periods. Their myths continue to captivate and inspire, reminding us of the raw, uncontrollable forces that still shape our planet today. Vrykolakas, the undead of Greek lore. From the European vampire to the Chinese jiangshi, these creatures of folklore reflect the fears and beliefs of the societies that created them. One such creature, deeply rooted in Greek folklore, is the Vrykolakas. This undead being has been a source of fear and superstition in Greek communities for centuries, inspiring tales of horror and rituals aimed at preventing the dead from returning to haunt the living. This article explores the origins, characteristics, and cultural significance of the Vrykolakas in Greek lore. Origins of the Vrykolakas. The concept of the Vrykolakas is believed to have originated from ancient Greek, Slavic, and Byzantine traditions. While Greek mythology did not originally include vampires in the way modern horror fiction does, there were numerous references to revenants, beings that returned from the dead to interact with the living. During the Byzantine period, 330 to 1453 AD, Christian theology influenced many supernatural beliefs, shaping the image of the Vrykolakas into a more defined creature of fear. The idea that improper burial, sinful life, or excommunication could cause a person to rise from the dead as a monstrous being became widespread. The word Vrykolakas itself is believed to have been borrowed from Slavic languages, possibly from the Serbian Vrykolakas, meaning wolf skin or werewolf, which later became associated with vampires. Characteristics of the Vrykolakas. Unlike the traditional vampire of Western Europe, which drinks blood, the Vrykolakas has distinct characteristics that set it apart. Physical appearance. The Vrykolakas is often described as a bloated, ruddy-skinned corpse rather than the pale, gaunt vampire of Gothic literature. This description likely stems from observations of naturally occurring post-mortem changes, such as decomposition and gas accumulation in the body. Cause of transformation. Several factors were believed to cause someone to become a Vrykolakas, including dying without proper religious rites, committing grievous sins during life, being excommunicated by the church, dying violently or unexpectedly, being bitten by another Vrykolakas. Behavior. Unlike modern vampires that primarily hunt for blood, the Vrykolakas is said to return to its community to cause mischief, spread disease, and even kill. Some legends suggest that it knocks on doors at night, and if someone answers on the first call, they may die soon after. Weaknesses and destruction. Traditional Greek beliefs held that the only way to permanently destroy a Vrykolakas was by exhuming its body, cutting it open, and burning it. Other methods included driving a stake through its heart or reading religious rites over the grave. Cultural impact and historical accounts. Many historical accounts from the Ottoman era, 15th to 19th century, document incidents where Greek villagers exhumed corpses suspected of being Vrykolakas and performed rituals to prevent their return. These practices were often supported by Orthodox priests, who played a crucial role in determining whether a deceased person was likely to become a revenant. One such account from the 18th century describes a village in Crete where a man was believed to have returned from the dead to torment the living. After repeated disturbances, the villagers exhumed the body, found it unnaturally preserved, and burned it, a common practice to ensure that the Vrykolakas would not rise again. Another famous case occurred on the island of Mykonos, where an excommunicated man was feared to have become a Vrykolakas. The body was eventually exhumed and destroyed following religious ceremonies. Vrykolakas versus the Western vampire. The Vrykolakas differ significantly from the vampire of Western literature and folklore. Unlike Dracula or Nosferatu, the Vrykolakas does not rely on blood drinking to sustain itself. Instead, it primarily acts as a bringer of disease and death, making it more similar to the plague-bearing revenants of medieval Europe than to the aristocratic vampires of Victorian fiction. Another notable distinction is the Vrykolakas' connection to religious excommunication. In Greek folklore, those who were denied a proper burial or church sacraments were more likely to rise as undead, reinforcing the societal and theological importance of burial rites in Orthodox Christianity. Modern influence and depictions. While belief in the Vrykolakas has waned over the years, echoes of the legend still exist in Greek culture. Some rural communities retain superstitions about the dead, and certain burial customs, such as ensuring a body is fully decomposed before placing bones in an ossuary, reflect ancient fears of the undead. The Vrykolakas has also made its way into modern media, appearing in Greek literature, films, and even international horror fiction. While not as globally famous as the European vampire, it remains a fascinating figure in the world of supernatural folklore. The legend of the Vrykolakas provides a unique glimpse into Greek culture and its historical fears surrounding death and the afterlife. Unlike the bloodthirsty vampires of Western horror, the Vrykolakas serves as a grim reminder of the importance of proper burial, religious rites, and moral conduct in life. Whether seen as a metaphor for disease and misfortune or as a genuine supernatural threat, the Vrykolakas remains one of Greece's most chilling folkloric figures. Ancient burial practices reflecting fear of the undead. This fear is evident in various burial practices designed specifically to prevent the dead from returning. From prehistoric times to the medieval period, civilizations have employed a range of measures, including weighted burials, mutilation, and specific grave arrangements, to keep the deceased in their graves. These burial customs reflect deep-seated anxieties about death, the afterlife, and supernatural forces. Prehistoric and early burial practices. One of the earliest indications of a belief in the undead can be found in prehistoric burials. Archaeological evidence suggests that Neolithic people sometimes buried their dead with large stones or heavy objects placed over the bodies, possibly to keep them from rising. Skeletal remains discovered in sites across Europe and the Near East show signs of post-mortem manipulation, such as disarticulated bones or skeletal rearrangement, which may have been intended to neutralize a perceived threat from the dead. In some cases, bodies were found decapitated or with limbs removed. This suggests that prehistoric societies feared the possibility of the dead returning to life and took steps to render them harmless. The careful placement of grave goods, such as weapons or food, might also have been a way to appease the spirits of the deceased and prevent them from becoming restless. Ancient Egypt, protection and binding rituals. Ancient Egyptians had a complex belief system regarding death and the afterlife. While they did not necessarily fear the dead in the same way as other cultures, they took extensive measures to ensure the deceased remained properly housed in the afterlife. The mummification process was designed not only to preserve the body but also to prevent any unnatural reanimation. Egyptians also buried the deceased with protective amulets and used magic spells from the Book of the Dead to secure the journey to the afterlife. Some graves contain evidence of binding rituals, where linen wrappings or bindings may have served as a safeguard against potential resurrection. In certain cases, tombs were sealed with heavy stone doors or curses were inscribed on the walls to deter intruders and potentially harmful spirits. Ancient Greece and Rome, coins and mutilation. In ancient Greece and Rome, burial practices reflected concerns about the return of the dead. One common custom was placing a coin, obol, in the mouth or on the eyes of the deceased to pay Sharon, the ferryman of the underworld, ensuring that the soul would not linger in the land of the living. However, archaeological evidence also points to more extreme measures taken against the potential rise of the undead. Some Greek graves contain skeletons with stakes driven through their chests or bodies weighed down with heavy stones. In Roman times, graves with decapitated skeletons or bound limbs have been discovered, suggesting that people feared the dead might rise and seek vengeance on the living. In addition, Romans practiced the ritual of the Lemuria, an annual festival meant to appease restless spirits or lemurs who were thought to haunt the living. This suggests an ongoing cultural anxiety about malevolent spirits of the dead returning to disturb the world of the living. Medieval Europe, vampire burials and anti-resurrection practices. The fear of the undead reached its peak during the medieval period in Europe, where beliefs in vampires and revenants, corpses that returned to life, led to elaborate anti-resurrection measures. Skeletons from medieval cemeteries have been found with signs of ritual mutilation, such as decapitation. Heads were sometimes removed and placed between the legs or at the feet of the corpse to prevent the dead from seeing or moving. Stakes through the heart. A common anti-vampire measure involved driving wooden or iron stakes through the chest to pin the body in place. Stone or brick in the mouth. Archaeologists have discovered corpses buried with stones or bricks forced into their mouths, possibly to prevent them from biting or speaking incantations that could lead to resurrection. Weighed down burials. Heavy stones or iron bars were placed over the bodies to keep them from rising. Such practices were rooted in the widespread fear that corpses, particularly those of individuals who died violently or were deemed socially deviant, could return as vengeful spirits or vampires. In some regions, suspected vampires were exhumed and subjected to post-mortem rituals, such as burning the body or removing the heart. Eastern European vampire folklore. In Eastern Europe, particularly in regions such as modern-day Romania, Bulgaria, and Poland, vampire folklore deeply influenced burial customs. The Slavic belief in the strigoi, a type of undead being, led to preventative measures being taken even before burial. People suspected of being at risk of becoming vampires were sometimes buried face down, with their mouths sealed or their hands and feet bound. A notable discovery in Poland revealed skeletons buried with sickles placed across their throats, likely intended to prevent the deceased from rising by decapitating themselves should they attempt to move. Such measures indicate a persistent and practical approach to dealing with supernatural fears. Asian practices and supernatural beliefs. While European traditions surrounding the undead are well documented, similar practices existed in Asia. In China, ancient burial sites have revealed corpses buried with jade amulets or protective charms to ward off evil spirits. The Chinese belief in the jiangshi, a hopping vampire-like entity, led to precautions such as binding the deceased with red string or using talismans to prevent reanimation. In Japan, the fear of gaki or hungry ghosts, spirits who return due to improper funerary rites, led to specific burial customs, such as ensuring the body was correctly positioned and offerings were made to appease the spirit. Some Japanese folklore also describes bodies being cremated or disposed of in ways that prevented the return of malevolent spirits. Modern reflections on ancient fears. While many of these burial practices may seem superstitious today, they reveal fundamental human concerns about death, the afterlife, and the supernatural. The fear of the undead was not merely about physical resurrection but also about the idea of unresolved spirits returning to disrupt the living world. In many cases, these customs also served as a way for societies to process grief, ensure proper social order, and maintain religious traditions. Interestingly, echoes of these fears persist in modern times. The concept of the undead continues to pervade popular culture, with vampires, zombies, and ghosts remaining central figures in horror fiction and film. Even modern burial practices retain elements of ancient traditions, such as embalming and grave markers, which can be seen as methods of ensuring that the dead remain undisturbed. Giant beasts of prehistoric times. These giant beasts emerged in various prehistoric periods, from the Paleozoic to the Cenozoic, adapting to diverse environments. Their immense sizes often provided survival advantages, such as deterring predators and reaching high vegetation. This article explores some of the most fascinating giant animals of prehistoric times, including their evolution, biology, and extinction. The Age of Invertebrates, Paleozoic Giants. The Paleozoic era, 541 to 252 million years ago, saw the dominance of invertebrates, including giant arthropods that thrived in oceans and on land. 1. Arthropleura, the giant millipede. One of the largest land invertebrates of all time, Arthropleura was a millipede-like arthropod that lived during the Carboniferous period, 359 to 299 million years ago. It grew up to 2.5 meters, 8 feet, long, likely feeding on decaying plant matter. The high oxygen levels of the period enabled such large sizes, as oxygen diffusion was crucial for arthropod respiration. 2. Vrykolakas, the sea scorpion. This giant sea scorpion was one of the largest arthropods ever, reaching over 2.5 meters, 8 feet, in length. It lived in the Devonian period, 419 to 359 million years ago, and was an apex predator in ancient seas. Its massive pincers and streamlined body made it a formidable hunter. The Age of Reptiles, Mesozoic giants. The Mesozoic era, 252 to 66 million years ago, is often called the Age of Dinosaurs, but it also featured giant marine reptiles and flying creatures. Dinosaurs ruled both terrestrial and aquatic environments, growing to unprecedented sizes. 3. Argentinosaurus, the largest land animal. Among the largest dinosaurs, Argentinosaurus was a massive sauropod from the late Cretaceous, 100 to 94 million years ago. Estimates suggest it reached lengths of up to 35 meters, 115 feet, and weighed around 100 tons. Its long neck allowed it to reach high vegetation, ensuring a steady food supply. 4. Spinosaurus, the largest carnivorous dinosaur. Unlike Tyrannosaurus rex, Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic, living in North Africa during the Cretaceous period, 112 to 93 million years ago. It grew over 15 meters, 50 feet, long and had a distinctive sail on its back. Fossil evidence suggests it primarily hunted fish and adapted to a life both on land and in water. 5. Quetzalcoatlus, the giant flying reptile. This pterosaur from the late Cretaceous period had a wingspan exceeding 10 meters, 33 feet, making it one of the largest known flying animals. It likely soared over prehistoric landscapes, scavenging or hunting small animals. The Age of Mammals, Cenozoic giants. After the dinosaurs' extinction, mammals rapidly diversified, giving rise to some of the largest land and marine animals ever. 6. Paraceratherium, the tallest land mammal. This Oligocene era, 34 to 23 million years ago, giant was a hornless rhinoceros relative, standing up to 4.8 meters, 16 feet, at the shoulder and reaching lengths of 8 meters, 26 feet. It weighed around 20 tons and browsed on tree leaves like modern giraffes. 7. Megalodon, the giant shark. This prehistoric shark lived from the Miocene to Pliocene, 23 to 3.6 million years ago, and was the largest predatory fish ever, reaching up to 18 meters, 59 feet, long. Its massive jaws, filled with serrated teeth, allowed it to prey on whales and other large marine animals. 8. Mammuthus primigenius, the woolly mammoth. This Ice Age giant was a distant relative of modern elephants, roaming North America, Europe, and Asia. It grew up to 4 meters, 13 feet, at the shoulder and had thick fur to withstand freezing temperatures. Humans likely played a role in its extinction. Theories on gigantism. Gigantism in prehistoric animals often resulted from several evolutionary pressures. Oxygen levels. Higher oxygen concentrations in the Paleozoic allowed arthropods to grow larger than modern relatives. Predator-prey arms race. As prey animals grew larger for defense, predators also increased in size to keep up. Dietary abundance. Rich vegetation and abundant prey enabled herbivores and carnivores to grow to enormous sizes. Climate and environment. Warmer periods with extensive forests and shallow seas provided ample resources for large animals. Extinction of giant beasts. Many of these massive creatures vanished due to drastic environmental changes. Mass extinctions. Events like the Permian-Triassic and Cretaceous-Paleogene extinctions wiped out vast numbers of species. Climate change. Ice ages and warming periods disrupted food supplies. Human influence. Overhunting and habitat destruction contributed to the extinction of later giants like mammoths and megalodon. the giant beasts of prehistoric times were among the most awe-inspiring creatures to have ever lived. Their evolution and extinction provide crucial insights into Earth's history and the forces shaping biodiversity. Studying these ancient giants helps us understand how ecosystems evolve and why conservation is essential to preserving today's large species. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed exploring the forgotten beasts that once roamed the Earth and the mysteries surrounding their existence. These ancient monsters may have been erased from history, but their stories live on through myths and the wonders of modern science. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of ancient creatures and forgotten legends. Got any theories or creatures you'd like us to explore next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown.